Late last year, I started bullet journaling for mainly three things. Number one, I thought that it encouraged my creativity. Number two, it helped me plan for the things that I needed to do and keep track of the things I've already done. And number three, I just really loved a good dotted, hardbound notebook. Even though I knew that I could keep my spreads simple, I somehow convinced myself that, you know what, I could spend a little more time making my spreads more aesthetic. Because then I'd be exercising my artsy muscle, and at the same time, I would be planning for the rest of my week. Two birds with one stone, right? That did not work out for me. I ended up spending more time planning than actually doing. Which, I mean, planning isn't bad, but at some point I thought I'd have to start actually executing my plans. So because I didn't have a very good system, bullet journaling didn't help me be productive at all. When I finally developed a system that did work for me, I actually found digital planning to be more helpful, and so I started using an app called Notion for all my planning, but that is a discussion for another time. Recently, I found an excessive number of unused notebooks, and I thought I should start a handwriting journal. But I grew tired of writing "the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog" over and over, so I thought maybe it's time to actually start writing my thoughts down. At first, it went sort of this way. Dear Diary, today was a nice sunny day. I had an amazing cup of coffee this morning, and everything didn't go as horribly as I thought. That kind of journaling did not feel like me, so I ended up doing that for just a few days. But one of the online courses I'm taking right now, called The Science of Wellbeing, sort of requires me to keep track of a bunch of stuff, and that has actually been very helpful for me to get back into journaling. Several websites encourage journaling to track stress, to track symptoms, and to create a space for positive self-talk. Habit development is one other thing that can be improved by journaling. People use their journals to track whether or not they did a particular habit that day, and then they can make notes about how it went, or write down why it didn't. That doesn't sound right. Wait. People use their journals to track whether or not they exercised, performed a particular habit that day, and then they can make notes about how it went. Now I want to talk about how I journal. The first part is called my day review. In my first year in med school, one of the things that we had to do was review our day in reverse, and I think that this was for mindfulness. I started incorporating it into my journal practice because I wanted to keep track of the things that I accomplished that day, and because it doesn't make me feel good to forget parts of my life. The second thing I do when I journal is called savoring. So it's savoring exercises. In the evening, I write down a particular activity that I anticipate would happen the next day that I want to savor. So let's say tomorrow I want to savor breakfast. So then the next day never mind, let's just use an example. I'm not sure what tense I should be using. Okay, so this is the example. One of my entries was savoring breakfast, and that time it was delicious Spam fried rice. So during breakfast, because I planned to savor it the night before, right? So during breakfast, I look at this nice plate of Spam fried rice that I made, and it is a beautiful plate of food. It's red with that yummy red Korean red paste. I said red too many times, and then it has this nice sunny side up, runny yolked egg on top of the rice. And then I would look at it and be like, "You are beautiful. You are a beautiful plate of food." Then I would smell it. I smelled it. I'm talking about a past entry. So then I smelled it, and then it smelled like Spam, obviously, and fried garlic, and spicy. It smelled spicy. And then I took my first bite and it was super yummy. It was crunchy, crispy, spicy, and it's so weird because I'm savoring. I don't know how else to say it. I am salivating and I am tasting all the yummy goodness. I don't know how to describe food, but it's super yummy. It looked beautiful, it smelled nice, and it was super yummy. Did I say that it smelled nice? It smelled amazing. And so this was during the meal. I was savoring the meal at the time I was having it. So then that evening I would look back at that, and it's so strange because it's almost like I'm experiencing the same sensations way beyond the actual experience itself, and it's almost spiritual because I'd be writing this down and I'd be closing my eyes and it's like I'm praying, but I'm thinking about spam fried rice, and that is super cool. So savoring, you should try it. For gratitude, you know how it's like when you're not actively trying to be grateful, like somebody sends you flowers and you just feel so grateful, like, oh, thank you for appreciating me and sending me these flowers. I feel so happy and good. Well, when I started my gratitude journal, it felt like I was actively reaching out for this positive emotion. And it brings me to the same happy place where I would be if I wasn't actively trying to be grateful. I need to list 5 things that I'm grateful for that day. So for example, number 1, one of my entries was naps. I'm grateful for nap time. So I write that down, nap. And then I would close my eyes and think about almost going back to the scene of preparing for my nap and all of the times I had really nice naps. And then I would think about the good things that happened because I took this nap, and I'd be like, I was able to finish my homework today because I had a nice nap in the afternoon and I felt energized afterwards, and so then I got to do a whole bunch of things because I took this nap. It's something like that. It's really simple. The next item on my journal is what I would savor the next day. So that's just deciding what activity it is that you would anticipate to happen the next day that you would savor. Tonight, I might write, tomorrow, I will savor quiet mornings by myself while everybody is asleep. Next, this is the 5th part of my journal, so it's how I will exercise one of my character strengths. I took the VIA Character Strengths survey for my Science of Wellbeing course, and the idea here is that if you exercise these strengths, it would boost your happiness. That's it. I didn't have anything to add to that. I don't know why I made that tone. So, for example, one of my character strengths apparently is social... What was the strength? Social intelligence. Apparently, I'm socially intelligent. I'm sorry. One of the things I could do to exercise this strength is to listen to family and friends without thinking of a rebuttal, and instead just listen and reflect on whatever feelings I'm feeling. So I would write that down. This is what I'll do the next day. This is the strength I'll be exercising the next day. And then the next evening, I would be reflecting on that exercise, if I did it and if I didn't, why. The next item on my journal is a random act of kindness. So then I just write whether or not I did an act of kindness, and then I just write down how it made me feel. The next section is social connection, and the idea here is that happy people tend to have richer. Happy people tend to have richer social connections, so I should make time to genuinely connect with friends or family, and that's supposed to boost my happiness. So I would write about the experience, and again, I would write how I felt if I did that, and if not, then I'd make a note to do that the next day. And lastly, I just leave a space for my morning pages. I think that morning pages is supposed to be 3 pages, but I cramp when I try to write that long. So for now, I've just been reserving half a page. So that's how I journal. Feel free to leave a comment about how you journal, and I will see you in the next video.